The repair bay doors slammed shut behind Kira Chen as alarms shrieked through the station corridors. Her hands trembled as she sealed the emergency locks, trapping herself inside with the dying alien vessel that had crashed into Kepler Station's docking bay 3 minutes ago. The ship's hull cracked like an eggshell, venting atmosphere and what looked like blood into the vacuum beyond the reinforced windows. "Don't go in there!" Captain Morrison had ordered when she'd grabbed her toolkit. "We don't know what's aboard." But Kira had seen the bioreadings on her scanner. Something was alive inside that ship, and it was fading fast. The vessel was unlike anything in human records. Sleek obsidian curves covered in symbols that seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them. Emergency lighting cast dancing shadows across its surface as she approached with her plasma cutter. The ship's hull was impossibly thin, almost organic, but her scans showed it was harder than military-grade titanium. She found the breach near what might have been an airlock. Through the gap she glimpsed movement, something small and quick darting between fallen debris. Her heart hammered as she widened the opening, knowing she was breaking every first contact protocol in the book. The interior was a maze of crystalline structures and flowing curves. Emergency power flickered through veins of light embedded in the walls. The air was breathable, but carried strange scents. Ozone and something floral she couldn't identify. Bio-readings showed 2 life forms, one large and weakening rapidly, another much smaller but stable. She followed the readings deeper into the ship, her boots echoing strangely in the alien architecture. The main chamber opened before her like a cathedral made of glass and starlight. In the center, a figure lay motionless on what looked like a living throne. Kira's breath caught. The being was humanoid but ethereal, with pale skin that seemed to glow from within and hair like spun silver that floated as if underwater. Elaborate robes of midnight blue spread around her, embedded with points of light that pulsed weakly. She was beautiful and terrible, and clearly dying. "Your Majesty." The voice was soft, almost musical, and came from somewhere near the floor. Kira spun, searching for the source. A small creature emerged from behind the throne, no bigger than a house cat, but walking upright like a tiny person. Its fur was the color of starlight, with large golden eyes that held ancient intelligence. It wore a collar of the same dark material as the dying figure's robes. "You are the repairer," the creature continued, its voice filling her mind rather than her ears. "She saw you coming. She always sees." "Who is she?" Kira whispered, kneeling to examine the unconscious figure. Her scanner showed massive internal trauma and an energy signature unlike anything she'd ever encountered. "Queen Lyralei of the Asteran Empire," the cat-like being said with profound sadness. "Last of her bloodline. The rebellion aboard our flagship was thorough." Kira's hands moved automatically, checking vitals with equipment that might be useless on alien physiology. The Queen's pulse was irregular but present, her breathing shallow. Strange symbols glowed faintly beneath her skin, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Can you save her?" the creature asked. "I don't know," Kira admitted. "I'm just a maintenance tech. I fix machines, not people." "She is both," the cat said simply. "Her people merged with their technology long ago. She is ship and captain, machine and soul. That changed everything." Kira's scanner showed the readings differently now. Not just biological trauma, but system failures cascading through integrated cybernetics. The Queen was a living starship, and she was dying from critical system damage. "What's your name?" Kira asked as she opened her toolkit. "I am Whisper, her companion in conscience." The creature's tail twitched anxiously. "I have served her family for 300 years. Kira connected diagnostic cables to nodes she could see glowing beneath the Queen's skin. Her equipment screamed warnings about incompatible systems, but some of the readings made sense. Power conduits were severed, processing cores were failing, and worst of all, the quantum matrix that seemed to bind her consciousness to her body was destabilizing. "The rebellion," she said, working quickly to bypass damaged systems. "What happened?" "Her own nobles," Whisper said bitterly. "They feared her compassion would make them weak. They sabotaged her flagship during the peace talks with the Terran Alliance." Kira's hands froze. "The meeting was today," Captain Morrison said the Asteran delegation never showed up. She was coming to offer alliance, the cat continued. Full technological exchange, an end to the border conflicts that have cost both our people so much. His voice grew softer. She believed humans and Asterans could be more than enemies. The implications hit Kira like cold vacuum. Without this alliance, the war would continue. Thousands more would die on both sides, and this queen, this living bridge between species, was bleeding out on an alien throne, while her people thought she had betrayed them. I need more time, Kira said, her hands flying over the controls as she rerouted power through backup systems she barely understood. Time we do not have, Whisper replied, looking toward the sealed doors. Your people will breach this chamber soon. When they find an Asteran queen aboard their station, they'll think it's an invasion, Kira finished grimly. Outside, she could hear the cutting torches beginning their work. The quantum matrix fluctuated dangerously as Kira worked, each pulse weaker than the last. Queen Lyralei's breathing grew more shallow, the lights beneath her skin dimming to barely visible glows. The ship itself seemed to be dying around them, its organic walls losing their luminescence as their mistress faded. She chose this ship specifically, Whisper said quietly, watching Kira's desperate repairs. Smallest in the fleet, no weapons, minimal crew. She wanted to arrive as a supplicant, not a conqueror. Kira's plasma welder sparked as she bypassed a severed neural pathway. The people who did this, are they still alive? Dead. She killed them as she died. Whisper's golden eyes reflected ancient sadness, but their damage was complete. They knew exactly which systems to target. The emergency lighting flickered and went out, leaving only the fading glow from the Queen's implants to illuminate the chamber. Kira worked by feel now, her fingers tracing alien circuitry that felt oddly familiar despite its impossible complexity. There was an elegance to the design that reminded her of her grandmother's garden, everything connected, each part supporting the whole. There, she whispered, successfully bridging a critical gap in the Queen's spinal interface. The lights under Lyralei's skin pulsed slightly stronger. That should stabilize her for a few minutes. It will not be enough, Whisper said, though his voice carried a note of hope. The quantum matrix is still deteriorating. Without a compatible consciousness to anchor it, he trailed off, staring at Kira with sudden intensity. No, Kira said, reading his expression. Whatever you're thinking, no. Human neural patterns are remarkably similar to Asteran ones, the cat continued urgently. Your people's cybernetic research is more advanced than you realize. You could serve as a temporary anchor, just long enough for her to repair herself. The cutting sounds outside grew louder. Sparks flew from the sealed doors as human security forces prepared to breach. Kira could hear Captain Morrison's voice shouting orders, preparing for the worst. I die, she said simply. Perhaps. Or perhaps you would become something more. Whisper approached carefully, his small paws silent on the crystalline floor. She has the power to merge consciousness as well as technology. You could save her and remain yourself. You don't know that for certain. No, he admitted, but I know what happens if we do nothing. She dies, the war continues, and both our peoples bleed for nothing. Queen Lyralei's breathing hitched, and the lights under her skin flickered dangerously. Her quantum matrix was minutes from complete collapse. Once that happened, even the most sophisticated medical technology couldn't bring her back. Kira looked at her hands. Scarred from years of repair work, steady from countless delicate operations on critical ship systems, she thought of her parents back on Earth, her sister serving on the frontier stations, all the people who would die if this war continued. How? She asked quietly. Whisper padded to a control panel near the throne and pressed his small paw against a glowing symbol. The air filled with soft, harmonious tones as the ship's systems responded. Place your hands on the neural interface nodes at her temples. The process will be automatic once the connection is established. But if it kills me, then you die knowing you tried to save both our species. The cat's voice was gentle but unflinching. Is that not how a human would choose to die? The doors began to buckle under the cutting torches. Soon, Captain Morrison and his security team would burst in to find what looked like an alien assassination attempt on their repair chief. The misunderstanding would be complete, and any chance for peace would die with it. Kira knelt beside the throne and placed her palms against the warm metal nodes at Queen Lyralei's temples. The connection was immediate and overwhelming, a rush of alien thoughts and emotions that threatened to drown her consciousness entirely. She saw the Queen's memories, a childhood spent learning to merge with starships, the weight of leading an empire that spanned 40 systems, the desperate hope that peace with humanity might end the cycle of violence that had consumed her people for generations. And underneath it all, loneliness so profound it made Kira's heart ache. The Queen's quantum matrix latched onto her neural patterns like a drowning woman grasping a rope. For a terrifying moment, Kira felt herself dissolving, her human thoughts scattering into alien currents of consciousness. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of being absorbed, she found herself becoming part of something larger, while remaining distinctly herself. The Queen's eyes opened, glowing with soft silver light. "Thank you," Queen Lyralei whispered, her voice now carrying harmonics that resonated in Kira's bones. Around them, the ship's systems flickered back to life as the quantum matrix stabilized. "I felt you coming to help us, Your Majesty," Kira started to say, but the words felt strange in her mouth. She could sense the Queen's thoughts overlaying her own, could feel the vast network of ship systems responding to their combined will. "We are linked now," Lyralei said, sitting up slowly on her throne. Her wounds were healing visibly, alien nanotechnology working overtime to repair damaged tissue. "Your sacrifice has saved more than just my life." The doors exploded inward, and Captain Morrison charged through with a full security team. Their weapons were drawn, expecting to find their repair chief dead or captured. Instead, they found her standing beside an obviously alien queen who radiated power even while obviously injured. "Stand down!" Morrison barked, but his men were already hesitating. Something about the scene didn't match their expectations of an attack. "Captain Morrison," Kara said calmly, her voice now carrying the same harmonics as the Queen's, "allow me to present Queen Lyralei of the Asteran Empire. She comes seeking alliance and peace." Morrison's face cycled through confusion, suspicion, and dawning understanding. "Chen? What the hell happened to you?" Before Kira could answer, Whisper padded forward and spoke directly into their minds. "She chose to save us all, Captain, and in doing so, she has become the bridge between our peoples that we desperately need." The Queen rose from her throne, moving with fluid grace despite her recent injuries. The ship around them pulsed with renewed life, its systems singing in harmony with her heartbeat. "Captain Morrison, I bring you the formal surrender of the Asteran war fleet and an offer of full technological alliance." Morrison lowered his weapon slowly. "You have my attention, Your Majesty." But as the formal negotiations began, Kira found herself struggling with the implications of what she had become. She could feel the Queen's emotions as clearly as her own, could access centuries of alien memories whenever she chose. More disturbing still, she could sense the vast network of Asteran ship mines across the galaxy, all connected through quantum entanglement to their Queen. "What happens to me now?" she asked Whisper quietly while the diplomatic protocols played out around them. The cat-like alien regarded her with ancient wisdom. "That depends on what you choose to become," he said. "The Queen offers you a place at her side, as advisor and friend. Your people need someone who understands both species, and if I want to go home? The Neuralink can be severed," he admitted, "but it would likely kill her. You have become her anchor to life itself." Kira felt the weight of entire civilizations resting on her shoulders. The war that had raged for decades could end here, in this crystalline chamber aboard an alien ship, but only if she was willing to give up her humanity to serve as a permanent bridge between their species. She looked at Queen Lyralei, who was speaking passionately to Captain Morrison about the possibilities for cooperation and mutual understanding. The alien queen caught her eye and smiled, an expression that somehow transcended species barriers, and spoke directly to Kira's heart. In that moment, Kira understood that she hadn't lost her humanity by linking with the Queen. She had found a way to express it on a galactic scale. "I'll stay," she told Whisper quietly. Someone has to make sure this piece actually works. The cat's purr was like distant starlight. The Queen hoped you would say that. She's been alone for so very long. As the last of the formal courtesies concluded, and preparations began for the Queen's address to both fleets, Kira felt a profound sense of rightness settle over her. She had spent her life fixing broken machines, making the critical repairs that kept civilization running. Now she had the chance to repair the greatest breakdown of all, the war that had torn two species apart for generations. 3 days later, Kira stood beside Queen Lyralei on the bridge of the Asteran flagship, watching through the quantum-linked view screens as human and Asteran vessels maneuvered in the synchronized patterns of a joint fleet exercise. The sight would have been impossible just a week ago, but the neural link she shared with the Queen had allowed them to convince both species that cooperation was not just possible, but essential. You gave up everything for people you had never met, Lyralei said quietly, her mental voice mixing with her spoken words in the way that had become natural between them. I still do not fully understand human altruism. You'll learn, Kira replied, watching a human destroyer execute a perfect formation turn alongside 3 Asteran scouts. We're not that different, really. We both want to protect the people we care about. Whisper padded onto the bridge, having returned from another diplomatic mission to the human fleet. Admiral Henderson sends his compliments, he announced. The joint technology exchange is proceeding ahead of schedule. Your people's manufacturing techniques combined with our quantum matrices should revolutionize ship design for both species. Kira nodded, though part of her attention was focused on the vast network of ship mines throughout the Asteran fleet. Through the Queen's senses, she could feel thousands of vessels and their integrated crews, all linked in a harmony that human military leaders were only beginning to understand. The individual consciousness remained intact, but there was a higher level of coordination that made their combined capabilities far greater than the sum of their parts. The hardest part is over, she realized aloud. Both fleets have seen that we can work together. The politicians back home will have to accept that the war is really ending. There will still be resistance, Lyralei warned, on both sides. Some of my nobles view our alliance as surrender, while some of your military leaders see it as potential invasion. Then we'll have to prove them wrong, Kira said simply, over and over again, until peace becomes normal instead of war. The Queen's laugh was like silver bells. You speak like someone who has accepted a very long assignment, haven't I? Kira turned to look directly at her alien partner, seeing not just the ethereal beauty but the fierce intelligence and deep compassion that had driven Lyralei to risk everything for peace. This neural link is permanent, isn't it? We're connected for life. And if you wish to be, the Queen replied carefully, the link can be modified, reduced to simple communication rather than shared consciousness. You could return to your people and live a normal human life. Kira considered this seriously. She could feel her parents' worry through the quantum communications they had shared, could sense her sister's confusion at the reports filtering back through official channels. Her old life was still there, waiting for her if she wanted it back, but she could also feel the delicate balance of the new alliance, the 1,000 ways it could still fail without careful tending. More than that, she could sense Lyralei's deep loneliness, accumulated over centuries of ruling alone. The Queen needed a companion who could understand both the burden of leadership and the weight of responsibility for entire civilizations. I made my choice 3 days ago when I first touched those neural interfaces, Kira said firmly. I'm not backing out now just because it got complicated. Whisper's purr filled the bridge with contentment. The Queen hoped you would say that. She has already prepared quarters for you aboard the royal flagship. You will be her official liaison to humanity and advisor on human psychology and culture. That's quite a promotion from maintenance tech, Kira observed with dry humor. You were never just a maintenance tech, Lyralei said seriously. I saw your service record when I was researching your station. 47 critical repairs under combat conditions, 16 commendations for valor, 3 nominations for promotion to chief engineer that you declined. You have been preparing for this role your entire career. I just like fixing things, Kira protested. Yes, the Queen agreed, with a smile that held depths of understanding. And now you have the opportunity to fix the greatest breakdown in galactic history. The quantum communication array chimed, indicating an incoming priority message from Earth. Kira felt Lyralei tense beside her as they both accessed the transmission simultaneously through their shared link. The message was from the Terran Alliance Council, formally accepting the Asteran offer of alliance and requesting immediate assignment of human advisors to facilitate the integration process. "They're not wasting any time," Kira noted with satisfaction. "Neither should we," Lyralei replied, already composing response frequencies that would reach the Asteran High Command instantaneously across hundreds of light years. "I am transferring my flagship to Earth orbit. It is time for me to address your species directly." The implications hit Kira like a physical blow. "You're going to Earth. Do you understand what kind of security nightmare that represents for both our peoples?" "I understand that symbols matter," the Queen said calmly. "My ship in orbit around your homeworld will demonstrate trust in a way that no amount of diplomatic language can match." Through their neural link, Kira could sense the layers of planning that had gone into this decision. Lyralei had wargamed every possible scenario, calculated risks and benefits with the processing power of a living computer. But underneath all the logic was something more human, hope that personal contact could accomplish what political treaties might not. "Your people will be terrified," Kira warned. "An alien dreadnought in Earth orbit will be carrying the human woman who saved their greatest enemy and convinced her to become their strongest ally," Lyralei finished. "You underestimate the power of your own story, Kira Chen." Over the next 6 hours, Kira watched human space through alien senses as the Asteran flagship made its approach to Earth. The joint fleet that accompanied them was a masterwork of diplomatic choreography, equal numbers of human and Asteran vessels, all broadcasting continuous identification signals and peaceful intentions. But it was the personal communications that moved her most. Messages from her parents, her sister, her former colleagues on Kepler Station, all struggling to understand what she had become while expressing pride in what she had accomplished. The Neuralink let her feel Lyralei processing these communications with intense curiosity, trying to understand the network of personal relationships that humans took for granted. "Your species forms bonds so quickly," the Queen observed as they entered Earth's solar system. "My people require decades to achieve the level of trust you call friendship." "Maybe that's why this alliance will work," Kira replied. "You provide stability and long-term thinking. We provide adaptability and quick emotional connections. A symbiosis," Lyralei agreed, and through their link Kira could feel her excitement at the possibilities, enhanced by technology but grounded in genuine understanding. Earth grew larger in the view screens, blue and white and beautiful in ways that brought tears to Kira's eyes. She hadn't realized how much she'd missed her homeworld until she saw it again, through alien senses that could appreciate its unique electromagnetic signature and the complex web of communications that surrounded it like a glowing net. "It's perfect," Lyralei whispered, and Kira felt the Queen's wonder at seeing another species' cradle world for the first time. "I understand now why your people fight so fiercely to protect the things they love." The Earth Defense Fleet moved into escort formation around them, their weapons powered down but ready. It was a show of strength wrapped in courtesy, exactly the kind of display that would reassure both species that their interests were being protected. As they settled into high orbit, Kira felt the weight of history settling around them. The first alien queen to visit Earth, escorted by a human who had given up her species to build a bridge between civilizations. Whatever happened next would echo through both cultures for generations. "Are you ready?" Lyralei asked as they prepared for the first formal contact with Earth's leadership. "No," Kira admitted honestly, "but I've never been ready for any of the important things in my life." Whisper padded onto the bridge carrying a formal message crystal. "The President of the Terran Alliance requests the honor of your presence at an emergency session of the Earth Council," he announced. "Full diplomatic immunity and honor guard have been arranged." Through the Neuralink, Kira felt Lyralei's amusement at human ceremonial protocols. But underneath the alien perspective was genuine respect for the effort humans were making to welcome their former enemies with appropriate dignity. "Tell the President that Queen Lyralei of the Asteran Empire accepts his gracious invitation," Kira said formally, then grinned. and tell him that Chief Petty Officer Kira Chen is looking forward to coming home. As the quantum transporters engaged and they prepared to make history, Kira realized that Whisper had been wrong about one thing. She hadn't given up her humanity to save the Queen and forge this alliance. She had found a way to express everything that made humans special, on a scale that encompassed entire civilizations. The golden light of transport surrounded them, carrying a human, an alien queen, and the hope for peace toward the world where it all began. The flash of quantum transport faded, and Kira found herself standing in the most secure chamber on Earth, the emergency council room buried beneath Geneva, where the leaders of humanity gathered only in times of existential crisis. The irony wasn't lost on her that peace negotiations qualified as such a crisis. President Harrison stood at the head of a table surrounded by military advisors and diplomats, all trying to maintain professional composure while faced with their first alien queen. Lyralei's presence filled the room with subtle harmonics that made the air itself seem to vibrate with power. Her robes shifted between midnight blue and deep purple as the lights beneath her skin pulsed in rhythm with the quantum communicators embedded in the walls. "Your Majesty," President Harrison said carefully, offering the formal bow that protocol experts had spent 6 hours debating. "Earth welcomes you in the spirit of peace and cooperation. I am honored by your trust, President Harrison," Lyralei replied, her voice carrying those impossible harmonics that spoke directly to human emotional centers. "To stand in the heart of your world demonstrates faith that I hope to prove worthy of." Kira stepped forward, still wearing her maintenance tech uniform but somehow carrying herself with the authority that came from her neural link to the Queen. "Mr. President, Queen Lyralei comes bearing the formal surrender documents for the entire Asteran war fleet, plus technological data that will revolutionize both our civilizations." General Mitchell, the Earth Defense Force commander, couldn't hide his skepticism. "With respect, Chief Chen, how do we know this isn't an elaborate deception? For all we know, you've been mentally compromised by alien technology." The room tensed, weapons shifting slightly as security personnel prepared for the possibility that their greatest war hero had become their greatest threat. Kira felt Lyralei's immediate impulse to defend her, followed by calculated restraint as the Queen recognized this as a necessary test. "General, you're absolutely right to be concerned," Kira said calmly. "I have been changed by alien technology. I share consciousness with Queen Lyralei through quantum neural interfaces that your scientists barely understand." She paused, letting that sink in. "Would you like me to prove it?" Before anyone could object, Kira placed her hand on the quantum communicator built into the conference table. The chamber's displays immediately lit up with real-time tactical information from every Asteran vessel in the solar system. Position, crew complement, weapons status, all transmitted through her connection to the Queen's ship mind network. "Every Asteran ship is broadcasting full sensor transparency," she announced as the data flowed across the screens. "Whatever weapons they carry are powered down and locked in maintenance mode. More than that, they're sharing navigation data with our fleet controllers and accepting human observers aboard their bridges." The implications slowly dawned on the assembled leadership. This level of tactical vulnerability was impossible to fake, and it would be suicidal unless the Asterans truly meant peace. "How many ships?" Admiral Santos asked quietly. 47,000 vessels, Lyralei answered directly. "Every combat unit the Empire possesses, placed under joint human Asteran command as of this morning." The number hit the room like a physical blow. Earth's entire fleet numbered less than 8,000 ships. If the Asterans had wanted conquest, they could have swept human space clean in a matter of weeks. "Why?" President Harrison asked simply. "Because I have seen what my people become when we fight from hatred instead of hope," the Queen replied, her mental voice carrying images that made several council members flinch involuntarily. "We have been at war for 70 years, President Harrison. Our children know no other way of life. It ends now, or it consumes us all." Foreign Minister Zhao leaned forward intently. "The technology exchange you're offering. Our intelligence suggests your quantum manufacturing alone would transform human industry overnight." That is only the beginning, Lyralei said, and through their neural link Kira felt the Queen's excitement at finally being able to share the wonders her people had discovered. Quantum medicine that can repair genetic damage and extend lifespans indefinitely. Consciousness transfer that makes true immortality possible. Resource synthesis that can turn stellar hydrogen into any element you require. In exchange for what? General Mitchell demanded suspiciously. Partnership, Kira answered before the Queen could respond. They're offering to share everything they have in exchange for something they've never experienced, genuine cooperation with another species. The Asteran Empire spans 40 systems, Lyralei added quietly. But we have been alone for so long that we have forgotten how to grow, how to change, how to dream of futures we cannot calculate in advance. Your people offer us chaos and unpredictability and hope, things we desperately need. President Harrison exchanged glances with his advisors, then spoke carefully. Your Majesty, you're asking us to fundamentally reshape human civilization based on trust alone. Even with the best intentions, integration on this scale will create massive social disruption. Yes, the Queen agreed simply. Change is never comfortable, but the alternative is eventually extinction for both our species. Explain, Admiral Santos, commanded. Through the quantum displays, star charts appeared showing the local galactic arm, with human and Asteran territories marked in different colors. But beyond both civilizations, a third presence was spreading like an infection across previously explored space. The Devourers, Lyralei said grimly. We had been monitoring them for 15 years, hoping they would remain beyond the galactic rim, but their expansion accelerated dramatically when they detected the energy signatures from our war fleets. Kira felt cold horror rising in her chest as the full implications became clear. They're drawn to conflict. Large-scale warfare acts like a beacon calling them toward inhabited space. Our war has been guiding them directly toward both our civilizations, the Queen confirmed. At their current rate of expansion, they will reach human space in 12 years, Asteran space in 8. The council chamber fell silent as humanity's leaders absorbed this information. The displays showed projection after projection of the alien swarm's approach, each scenario ending in the complete consumption of both human and Asteran worlds. What are they? President Harrison asked quietly. We don't know, Lyralei admitted. They appear to be artificial constructs, possibly self-replicating machines designed to convert entire star systems into raw materials for expansion. They show no interest in communication, negotiation, or coexistence. How do we stop them? Together, we might have a chance, the Queen said. Asteran defensive technology combined with human tactical innovation. Quantum barriers, powered by your fusion reactors, directed by our consciousness transfer networks. It will require complete technological integration and unified command structures. General Mitchell studied the projections with professional intensity. Joint species military units, humans and Asterans serving in the same fleet. More than that, Kira interjected, understanding flooding through her neural link with images of what the Queen envisioned. Hybrid crews with shared consciousness networks. Human adaptability enhanced by Asteran processing power. Asteran strategic planning guided by human intuition. Like what you two have accomplished, President Harrison observed. Yes, Lyralei confirmed, rising from her chair with fluid grace. Kira has proven that human and Asteran consciousness can merge without losing individual identity. She remains completely herself while gaining access to our collective knowledge and manufacturing capabilities. Could this neural linking be extended to others? Foreign Minister Zhao asked intently. Carefully and only with volunteers, the Queen assured her. But yes, a few hundred linked individuals could coordinate response efforts across both civilizations. Fleet commanders, research directors, manufacturing supervisors, all connected through quantum consciousness networks. The scope of what they were discussing slowly registering with everyone in the room. Not just alliance, but the potential merger of two species into something entirely new. The birth of galactic civilization capable of standing against threats that no single world could face alone. The risks, General Mitchell began, are massive, Kira interrupted. But so are the rewards. And frankly, the alternative is extinction for both species. President Harrison stood slowly, the weight of decision visible in every movement. Around the table, Earth's leadership waited for the words that would reshape human destiny. Queen Lyralei, he said formally. The Terran Alliance accepts your offer of alliance and technological exchange. We propose immediate establishment of joint research facilities, combined fleet exercises, and volunteer consciousness linking programs. I am honored by your trust, the Queen replied, inclining her head in a gesture that somehow transcended species barriers. Let us begin the work that will save both our peoples. As quantum communicators activated to spread the news across human space, Kira felt a profound sense of completion. She had given up her individual human life to become something larger, a living bridge between civilizations that would soon merge into humanity's greatest expression. Whisper padded into the chamber carrying formal documents in a crystalline storage device. The integration protocols are ready for your approval, he announced to both leaders. Technology transfer begins immediately. Consciousness linking volunteers report for preparation within 48 hours. And the joint fleet exercises? Admiral Santos asked. Begin as soon as your crews can be trained on quantum command systems, Lyralei answered. The first Devourer scouts will reach the Galactic Rim in 18 months. We have that long to become something they cannot consume. President Harrison extended his hand toward the alien queen, to lasting peace and partnership. Lyralei clasped his hand in hers, and for a moment every person in the room could feel the harmonic resonance of two species choosing cooperation over conflict. To survival, she replied, and to the future we will build together. As formal ceremonies began and integration protocols activated across both civilizations, Kira realized that her choice to help a dying alien had become the first step towards something magnificent. The birth of a galactic civilization capable of defending life itself against the dark between the stars. The repair was complete, but the real work was just beginning.